How's it going, everybody? Today's video, as is becoming tradition, is brought to you by Atlas Gunworks because they sent me a new gun to play with, and I just used it to teach a law enforcement class today. Just got back. That's why I'm still sunburned and dirty and everything else. And I just wanted to get my thoughts out because it's the only time I'm going to be able to shoot it. I'm going to have to send it back to him in a couple days. It's like just a quick loaner, so I'd have a more appropriate gun for an LEO class, because showing up to a law enforcement class with an open pistol is not really the sweetest move. And I don't have anything that's not like a competition gun anymore, really. Everything's a little competition-y except my actual carry gun, which is the Glock 43, which also isn't appropriate for teaching a law enforcement class. So they sent me this one. I was basically like, hey, can you guys just send me like a non-competition gun? And they're like, yeah, sure, we got you. So this is what they sent. This is the Nyx, and it is the, or Nyx RDS specifically, because the Nyx was one of those models where it was an iron sight version, and then they came out with the red dot sight version, and now everything is essentially that, but they've gotten rid of the RDS on things like the Apollo. So this is the Nyx RDS, and it is essentially a stubby, it's been a long day, Athena. There we go. It's essentially a short Athena. So the Athena is a 4.6. This is a 4.25. So this is basically like Glock 19 length. So you can see there's a Glock 19 next to that thing. They're essentially the same length overall. Just the grip is full length. So I think it's basically the size of a 19X. So if you can carry a 19X, then this is a carryable gun. They do a couple things to make it a more carryable gun. So they have a smaller magwell. I obviously run like full-size competition magwells. Because of the grip panel options, you have to run a magwell on here, unless you just don't want to have the grip panels in there and you just kind of have like a weird hole in the side, but it's fine. You could do it that way. But you do need a small magwell on there. You can put grip panels in here and do it however you want. This texturing, I think they call it their competition cut. It's basically like the same little triangles that's on all of the Atlas grips, or actually, I think they have a different cut as well. They definitely have a different cut, but this is on the ones that I have. These are the ones that I like. And what they do is they radius off the corners in these things. So it's the same shape, but it's not quite as aggressive as the competition grips, because if this is a carry gun, this thing's going to be living against your skin, and you don't want that sandpaper, like super aggressive grip against your skin all the time. That would suck. Now, despite this being radiused off in kind of a toned down version, I did quite like it. It was very nice. I didn't shoot a ton. I'm teaching a class, so I'm not there to shoot, I'm there to teach. But I shot, I don't know, like 400 rounds, 500 rounds, something like that. Probably not 500, probably closer to 400 rounds. And so I got a bit of a feel for the gun, not as many as I would like. Most of the time I put out an actual video on something, it's because I've shot well over 1,000 rounds, which is already very low. I mean, I feel like you don't really know what you're talking about until you're kind of in that like 5,000 range. But I learned enough about this to at least like give my reasonably informed opinion. And I quite like it. I was very surprised. I thought it was going to be like a weird, short, snappy, unpleasant to shoot thing, and I was very surprised how fun it was to shoot this thing. It felt really close to an Athena. If you've ever shot an Athena, this is basically a slightly shortened Athena, shortened Athena. Athena's a 4.6 and this is a 4.25. It felt really close to that. And because going from a 5 to 4.6 is a pretty drastic change in the feel of a gun, I thought going from 4.6 to 4.25 was going to be that same level of drastic change, and it really wasn't. It was a significantly toned down change. So was it a little snappier? Yeah, I mean, a tiny little bit, but so for example, I was talking about a dot movement on one of the drills, and I was explaining to somebody like how much dot movement I see if I'm applying myself correctly. And with this gun at like 10 to 12 yard-ish range, the dot does not leave the A zone. So from the middle of the A zone to the top of the A zone, that's not a lot of dot movement. That's pretty reasonable. There's a couple things about this one in particular that I didn't like. Thing number one, this has a medium length trigger. I have very small hands. I got a short trigger put in my Apollo, and I like it a lot. It's total game changer for me, because it puts my trigger finger, instead of being an outward angle like this, it puts it square to the trigger when I'm starting. So it's easier to pull the trigger straight and not be influencing the gun to the left. I noticed a little bit the slightly longer trigger, and I had to pay a little bit more attention to my trigger pull to keep from doing that and influencing the gun to the left. The other thing here, kind of a smallish red dot and co-witness sights. I didn't like that combination at all. I don't run sights. All of my stuff just has the sights removed at this point. I don't use them. My carry gun doesn't have them. Literally nothing has them. I just use the red dot. If the red dot goes down, I'm pooched, and that's all there is to it. You might live in a world where that's not appropriate, and that's totally fine. But I found the co-witness sights to be kind of annoying, because this is a pretty small window on this dot. It's just the loaner that they had on the gun when they sent it to me. And those sights now take up the bottom third of the dot. That's a lot of real estate that you're losing. And I don't know. I mean, depending on the world that you live in, it may or may not be worth it. Personally, for, what I do, I've just taken the sights off of all of my guns. I'm just running dots. And dots aren't what they used to be. Dots used to be super fragile things that failed all the time. Now that we're into modern red dots that actually, can survive living on a gun for years and years at a time. I mean, I don't run backup irons on my rifle either. I'm pretty sure that scope's going to be fine. So, but maybe you live in a world where you need co-witness sights. I didn't like it. I did find that I was able to just kind of ignore them to a certain point, but there was definitely a detriment to the performance that I could put forth as a result of that, because I wasn't picking up things as quick as I normally would, because that dot now is in a smaller window. So any movement, the dot would come out of the window. And it's not like I would draw and be like, oh my God, where's the dot at? I would just draw, and it would be a dot in a little jumble of stuff, instead of just in a nice big open window. At one point we were shooting occluded, because I was talking about sight focus and what happens when you get drawn into the dot, and wanted to show people, if they actually were sight focused or if they were focusing on the dot, because occluding your dot will show you that pretty darn quickly. And I actually liked this better with the dot occluded, because I didn't have a window with a co-witness sight kind of taking up a portion and everything was there. I just had a black thing with a dot in the middle of it. I actually liked that better, which was pretty interesting, I thought. But yeah, so if I was shooting this thing long term, I would just occlude the dot, since it's not mine, and I'm not going to start pushing sights out of a gun that's not mine. It has the large left side safety that I have come to like. If you've been following along, you know what that's all about. It's actually the interesting thing about this one, and I think one of the reasons why it's not as snappy as I thought it would be, which is really interesting, it's a commander style or size gun. And I'm going to start getting into some 1911 vernacular here that I might mess up, but just bear with me. It's a commander size gun, but it's a full length slide that's cut down. And so it has a longer stroke. So it doesn't have a very short, snappy reciprocation to it. It has a longer kind of pushier stroke to it. So this guy goes way back. So you can see see if I can show it here. So that is all the way back. That is the barrel pushing out. So there is quite a bit more travel in this thing rearward than in most small commander size 1911 platform guns. I think that has a lot to do with why it doesn't feel super snappy. It's pretty interesting. I'm pretty stoked on it. It was a gun that they sent me that I was never even remotely looking at. It just happened to be what was available that I could use to teach this class. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. So if you are in the market for something along these lines, if you can carry a double stack 1911 platform gun, which I can't. I carried a Glock 19 for a while, and I have a real hard time hiding a gun that's that big because I'm a very small guy. So I carry a Glock 43. So in my world, outside of a nightstand gun, I don't think there's a lot of use for this one. If you're big enough that you can carry a gun like this would be an awesome carry gun. or if you just need something that like lives in the, you know, the glove box of your truck in a lockbox or something, this would be a fantastic gun for that. Ooh, maybe that's what I should do. That's a good idea. I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, all right. I just came up with a use for it. Damn it. That wasn't what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to buy more guns. Shit. That would be really nice. It's a pretty expensive gun to put in your glove box and just leave it there, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, it was really fun to shoot. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a way more pleasant gun to shoot than I expected. My brain's pretty much mush. I just did 2 4:30 mornings to go elk hunting, and then I got up 6 today to go teach an LEO class. So I'm fried. If this was rambly, I apologize, but at least I got you something, right? See you guys later. Bye.